The patent scam? The patent scam. In this video, I'm talking about documentary The Patent Scam, which I don't have a lot of arguments to make about, but I do have a lot of things to say about. If Tommy Wiseau had made a documentary, this might have been it.
You can pretty much figure out what happened next. They're the perfect fruit to pick. Okay, so they know about it. Good. Well, now it's time for our next step
down the rabbit hole.
Before we start, I want to say, Will Ferrell, if you're watching this, and I have a weird feeling that you are, know that I am 100% with you. What those lawyers did to you was wrong. I respect that you made this, and I really enjoyed it. But, as a documentary, The Patent Scam fails like no other. It's not a bad documentary because it's meandering and never has a point to make. It actually touches on a fascinating and documentary-worthy scandal to be. But there's only about 10 minutes of actual information, and it's halfway through. Instead, it's a bad documentary, but an incredibly entertaining film, because of its wackadoo characters, and because it offers an unparalleled window into a very specific personal grievance, and the type of bitterness that leads you to write, present, and fund the cinematic equivalent of screaming at clouds.
Actually not. I was being sued by a company called Unilock. This is a company I'd never even heard of before.
I think it's worth going through this film chronologically, because it often feels that's how it was edited. Every 10 minutes it turns into something else, with bold commitment. But throughout, our host and narrator uses certain words that he says in exactly the same way, over and over. And it's easy to become sucked into a sort of patent bingo hypnosis of lawyers, business, and abandoned buildings. Guffaw.
I called a lawyer. The lawyer to satisfy the lawyers. Lawyers, businesses. His name is listed as a lawyer. Lawyer, businesses, abandoned office buildings. For using an online store? All right, sorry for the interruption. Back to the movie.
It starts with our plucky star in a rather long skit with all the by-the-numbers old-timey filters checked to on. Oh no, you might think. A skit. This is the only one in the entire film. Of this type anyway, I don't want to overlook the whole bathtub segment. Anyway, in this skit, which manages to be both amateurish and overproduced, meow, how glass houses of me, the point is made, I guess, that the system of awarding patents in the US is broken. Then we get the real intro. This is the movie now. We see almost all the talking heads of those who have been banished to the Phantom Zone over and over. That might be boring, so they start spinning.
To defend yourself. The facts from your side could potentially never be heard, and you could lose everything.
Then Will Ferrell introduces himself. He's the guy who made X-Plane.
I wrote a computer program called X-Plane.
And he is pissed. Off, not pissed as in drunk. And then it happened.
I was working at a trade show in Wisconsin.
So Will sets out the story of how he had to duke it out with a patent troll. And all the lawyers too. Using bullshit patents on things reasonable people take for granted. And this is where you first begin to realize the film isn't about the broken patent system, but really about how this has completely fucked up Will Ferrell's life. This really is the only recurring theme. Here are some clips of Will giggling, snarling, etc.
They never really seem to specify exactly how they've been hurt.
Early, we're introduced to a recurring visual device, sexy close-ups of patent law, which Will reads in, I guess, a caricature of his own voice.
Computer code executable on an electronic device to prevent unauthorized access to electronic data stored on the electronic device. That's it!
Then we get our first glimpse at Will's fight plan. he's seeking technical knockout via air quote.
So Unilock claims they've been damaged by my putting an app on the Google Store.
Ooh, and now the bombshell.
What the lawyer told me next sobered me.
And the bombshell is that the movie hasn't even started yet. Here is the title and what CSI patent and copyright could have been, if it was about a man learning to use the internet. Will wants you to know that he knows what source code is, so this reenactment has him find the patent troll motto in the source code. I don't know why.
What's a patent troll?
So he flies to Santa Clara and other places to ask some people. One of the people is this guy from New Egg. The film never explains who he actually is. He's New Egg. Our first interview with a fellow victim starts like this.
So, Kevin, I'm being sued for patent infringement.
That's too bad.
A lot of this particular interview, I think because Will probably wasn't there for most of the others, ends up about Will's case.
Why should I settle when I know it's the wrong thing to do?
I wish he was there for the other ones, for the incredible reaction shots. There's also a setup for another recurring theme. I told you there were two. Weird metaphors.
You know, ask the guy that owns the liquor store why he pays $100 for protection and not take a bullet in the head. It gives greed a bad name.
Now we begin a long sequence of people introducing themselves. This is the movie now, until it's interrupted to briefly tell you about one of these people and the specific offending patent. Then, the movie becomes the same people talking about how they set up their businesses and how they eventually got a lawsuit through the mail. As it goes on, the editor seems to become more and more frustrated.
The demand letter said nothing about what we were infringing on.
And then, the bombshell.
It's time for the mother of them all.
The first 40 minutes just pretty much explains that, if you think about it. A lawsuit doesn't have to have merit to successfully extort people if fighting it and winning is more expensive than just giving in. And it really is egregious. These small businesses were screwed over by greedy patent trolls. Boo. This is before Will gets into a process called discovery.
Is a process called discovery.
He never explains what this is, or that it's a normal part of a legal proceeding. Another weird metaphor.
What if somebody broke into your house in the middle of the night and you have to sit there on the couch while they argue with the cops over how much of your stuff they can take when they leave?
So anyway, Will's explaining what discovery is.
So that's what a shell company is.
I mean, explaining what a shell company is. Well, it doesn't really matter what Will Ferrell is saying. He's a pleasure to watch. But then we get some actual meat. The lawyers representing this particular troll own the companies that owns the company that they are representing. Then everyone interviewed explains what a non-disclosure agreement is. This is the movie now. Finally, we get to the story. And there is a story here.
Bo Davis is Judge Leonard Davis's son. Johnny Ward is Judge John Ward's son. The lawyers are the sons of the judges.
This is explained at 59 minutes, and we never learn any more. Newegg sums it up. Newegg, that's his name.
The odds of getting a case dismissed early on a Rule 11 motion or on summary judgment, almost impossible, because he's going to get upset with you for filing this. That judge will be overturned by the Fifth Circuit or the Federal Circuit. And judges continue, there's some judges like in East Texas, they continue to refuse to fee shift. In East Texas, since Octane was issued by the Supreme Court, there have been 0 fee shifts. There are companies, right, that at the end of the day, either because they've been victimized so many times or because the companies have record of abuse, of this wrongdoing or abuse. You know, it's not wrong, it's technically not wrong, but certainly abuse. This will just continue forever.
This is the movie now. Not this, I mean Will Ferrell greeting closed doors. Hello?
Hello? Hello? Hello? Hello?
He goes to the office building in East Texas where patent trolls have their empty offices, which is basically the same as abandoned, isn't it?
The lawsuits that they are hearing are coming from abandoned offices across the street. This is the next thing I saw.
So this is basically where the information ends, because there never really was a lot. There could have been, but that probably would have needed an interview with one of the judges, or for the documentary to follow a particular suit, instead of being, once this happened to me. But that's okay. Next we get angry defensive man who needs a better PR advisor man. He comes up with this too.
I build a flower patch in my front yard. Beautiful flowers. Maybe even I commercialize it, but I don't have to commercialize it. I don't have to have a nursery and sell them. And some guy comes along and walks right through it, crushes the flowers, puts a path right down the middle. You say, I don't want you to do that. That's a patent lawsuit. That's patent infringement. Identify the people. Give me the list. Give me their names. Give me their addresses. Give me the lawsuit. You know what? You can't do it. You know why you can't do it? You bought into the propaganda.
Then we get a montage of the people appearing in this documentary in complete silence, as if we're remembering people that died in a fire, including Will himself looking bored. Then the bombshell.
McCool-Smith's own office, which we have now confirmed is actually just a patent troll hive, is across the street from the courthouse.
Next, one of my favourite characters. Not because of what he does, he is a patent troll, and I stand with Will Ferrell against both shenanigans and malarkey, but because I admire his inability to be offended and his poor judgment in appearing at all, especially at his mother's house.
I'm not sure if I can even explain it. It's more for attorneys to...
The editing here is really second to none. We even get sound effects, although I think he's right about the legs.
I have quite a few patents. I wanted to know what makes a good event photograph, for runners at least, to show the lakes. That's the most important part, because they run with the lakes. Whereas before, I was taking pictures of the chest and up.
If you leave out garbage, you're going to get cockroaches. If you leave out garbage patents, you're going to get patent trolls.
But the patent trolls are the ones that... aren't they?
Okay, I think everyone in the room understands patent trolling now.
Then the director, writer, host and subject goes to talk to some low-ranking member of the patent office who can only really tell him that they're constrained by the law. But Will does not accept that and tries to confront him with bullshit patents that this guy had nothing to do with.
Sorry, Daisy. You can't have it.
So someone patented a stick, or they patented a rubber toy that looks like a stick. Either way, they don't own sticks. Why don't you explain these things, Will Ferrell? There's no time to explain that because you're probably stupid. So here, at 90 minutes, is another explanation on how patent trolling works. Oh, and now, bath time. Shit.
6.
But it's not over because here's the bombshell.
That's in the patent. How to use a phone.
Then some guy shows up. Don't know who he is. Then he fucks off. Who was that?
What lawyers would ever press such a case against, effectively, all of us? The answer is these lawyers. These ones right here.
Then he doxes the lawyers representing the company suing Apple, systematically calls them, gives his name but doesn't say that he's making a documentary or even that he's recording them, and comes on a bit strong.
Hi, this is Austin Meyer speaking. I'm looking at a lawsuit filed against Apple Computer, a patent infringement lawsuit. And does that patent claim to own a device capable of being used for voice communication as stated in your lawsuit, paragraph 16?
I'm happy to call you back at a time when I have a little more time to discuss this.
So right now you're not able to tell me whether this company
You know
owns...
what? I mean, I don't even know who you are, and I'm not sure exactly what you're asking.
Do you think you own telephones? Is that what you can't tell me right now? 1 hour 38 in, we get another explanation, but we still have time for one more bonkers metaphor.
Imagine if you wrote a book, and we had patents on the books, and you wanted to write a book about whales. You'd have to go to Fred, who has the patent on whales. Well, that's exactly what's going on in software today. That's how ridiculous it is.
And finally, we end with the fix, and the delivery here is fantastic.
No more method patents. Method patents are stupid. It's just somebody writing down the steps he takes to do something. In the Steam Age. Does it take 20 years? It's ridiculous. Patents should obviously last about 5 years at the most.
And then it just ends. It really is all about one man's personal grievances, while trying not to be about that, in a way that makes me think of Neil Breen, or as I said before, Tommy Wiseau. Except here, Will Ferrell is 100% right to be pissed off. Will, if ever you could release an uncut version that's 2.5 hours longer and has all of the tirades to camera cut back in, I would buy it. You could make a mini-series. It could be the next Tiger King. It's worth a shot. Good luck, brother. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
This has cost me time that I will never get back. But, am I the only one in this wretched situation?